So you watched my video about the appraisal, and in that I mentioned the addendum concerning the right to terminate due to the lender's appraisal. But what is that? A lot of realtors will call it the appraisal waiver. Okay, so let's look at the addendum itself. The addendum is a very short addendum. It's a one-page addendum. And you have three choices on the addendum. You can either do number one, the waiver, number two, the partial waiver, or number three, the additional right to terminate. Now, remember I said that a lot of realtors will call this addendum, instead of calling it the addendum concerning right to terminate due to the lender's appraisal, they'll call it the appraisal waiver. They just call it, that's what they'll say, because that's really what they're looking for, especially as a seller's agent. You want the buyer to waive their right to terminate if the appraisal is not met. Remember, in this market, if you go back and look at my appraisal video, in this market, sellers are inflating the prices and buyers are inflating their offers over listing price often. So you're having houses that are not meeting appraisal quite a bit more than you normally do. It used to happen as well, but not as much as now, as in 2022. So to make your offer stronger, you would check number one and say, hey, I don't care what the house appraises to, I'll make up for the rest of it in cash. Now, you're going to have cash to do this. So if you don't have any extra cash, you can't do number one, because you're now going to be on the hook to buy the house no matter what it appraises to. And you don't want to do that if you don't have the money. A partial waiver gives you a little bit of insurance, and that's number two, gives you a little bit of insurance to say, especially if you're getting up there in the numbers, if you have a $600,000 house and you don't know what it's going to appraise to, I have a certain amount of cash I can put down, but it better at least appraise to 525. That's where you would do the partial waiver. And you would say, I can terminate under paragraph 2B of the third-party financing, and I'll show you that in 1 second. But the opinion of value must be this or more. Number three is something that it's really kind of doubling down on your paragraph 2B of the third-party financing addendum. And let's switch over and I'll show you that right now. 2B of the third-party financing addendum is property approval. So if the buyer's lender determines that the property does not satisfy lender's underwriting requirements for the loan, including but not limited to appraisal, then the buyer may terminate the contract. And this is how they do it. So when you're choosing the third option of the waiver, you put the value of the house down here in the blank, and if it does not appraise to that value, then you are able to terminate the contract. So what this addendum is primarily used for is to communicate what the buyer intends on doing if the appraisal comes in short. Remember, I said in 2022, there's a lot of appraisals that are coming short because of overinflated prices and overinflated offers. So you're telling the seller, if you mark number one and do the appraisal waiver, that it doesn't matter what it appraises for, I'm still buying the house. I have cash to make up for it. I'm trying to get lending for this amount, but if it doesn't appraise, I can't terminate. So that is what sellers really want to see. Now, number two is also strong if you have a reasonable amount listed as what it needs to appraise to. For example, if you have a certain amount of cash that you're willing to go towards the sale, if it's a $500,000 house and you have a little bit of cash, you can say, oh, it has to appraise to at least $425 or I can terminate. Number three is what sellers least like to see, and it really is just doubling down on your basic right to terminate if it doesn't meet appraisal. So hopefully that explains the importance of it. Go watch my video on how to make your offer stronger. This is a very, very key component to a strong offer.